In a quaint coastal town, where gentle waves kiss the white sandy shores, carrying the salty tang of the sea, life unfolds in a delicate dance of memories and moments. This town, shaded by swaying coconut palms and dotted with red-tiled houses, feels like a place where the past and present intertwine, carried on breezes that are both tender and bittersweet. At the end of a quiet road leading to the beach, a small house basks in the morning light. Sunbeams slip through the window, casting shimmering patches on an old wooden dining table. The aroma of caramelized fish stew and steaming sour soup fills the air, creating a cozy warmth that fails to dispel the heavy silence among the three seated around the table. Mr. and Mrs. Tran, their faces etched with lines from years of weathering life's storms, fix their gazes on their only son, Min Kang. Kang, when will you settle down and find someone to build a life with? Mrs. Tran's voice is soft but laced with urgency, as if she's holding back a worry that has long simmered beneath the surface. Min Kang, just past 30, with deep, soulful eyes and a smile that always seems to dodge something, gently sets down his chopsticks. He meets his mother's gaze, a flicker of resignation in his eyes. Mom, I'm still young. Marriage can wait. What's the rush? His tone is light, but to those who listen closely, there's a hint of evasion in his words. Mrs. Tran sighs, her thin hands clasping together. She glances at her husband, seeking solidarity from the man who has shared nearly 4 decades of marriage with her. Wait? You're 32, Kang. At your age, your father already had you, running around the neighborhood. Mr. Tran's voice is firm, tinged with disappointment. Min Kang's lips curve into a faint smile, but it fades quickly. He knows his parents aren't wrong. Yet, in a world that has moved on, his heart remains tethered to a past he can't let go, a silhouette he can't erase. Times have changed, Dad. I've got work at the travel agency, trips to explore new places. Marriage now? I'm not sure I'm ready to take care of a family. His voice is calm, but inside, a quiet storm stirs. Mrs. Tran shakes her head, her eyes piercing through the facade Min Kang tries to maintain. You talk about work, but I know you're just running away. Lin Dan, the girl you loved so dearly, she's happy now, with a family of her own. I saw her last week at the fish market. She's expecting her second child, a boy, and her smile, it was radiant. It broke my heart to see, Kang. Her voice softens, as if she's speaking to her own memories. At the mention of Lin Dan's name, Min Kang feels his chest tighten, as if gripped by an invisible force. Lin Dan, the woman he loved with all his heart, with whom he once dreamed of sunsets by the sea, hand in hand. Now, she belongs to another, a good man who cherishes her and their little girl. He doesn't blame her, but the thought still stings, like cold waves crashing over his heart. Mom. I'm full. I'll head upstairs to rest. His voice is quiet but resolute, as if to end the conversation before it cuts deeper. The door to his room closes softly, leaving Mr. and Mrs. Tran in silence. Their eyes meet, filled with a mix of helplessness and love. Mr. Tran rests a hand on his wife's shoulder, his voice heavy with sadness. Let it go, dear. Pressuring him too much might backfire. He needs time to move past the quiet in his heart. Mrs. Tran nods, but her eyes remain clouded with sorrow. She knows her son better than anyone. Despite his bright smiles and tales of far-off adventures, she senses the void within him, a space only Lin Dan once filled. I don't want to push him, she says, her voice trembling. I just want him to let go of the past and find someone who truly belongs to him, so his heart no longer feels as cold as those waves out there. The next morning, the beach glows under a radiant sunrise, waves sparkling like liquid silver. The family gathers around the breakfast table, savoring the fragrant seafood porridge Mrs. Tran prepared at dawn. The air feels lighter, though an unspoken tension lingers. Suddenly, Min Kang sets down his bowl, meeting his mother's eyes with a steady gaze. Mom, do you know anyone trustworthy who could introduce me to a nice girl? I think it's time I started over. The clatter of chopsticks hitting the floor breaks the silence as Mrs. Tran stares at her son, disbelief mingling with joy. Are you serious, Kang? Yes, Mom. I thought about it all night. If it can't be her, then anyone will do. As long as it's a new beginning. His smile carries a trace of wistfulness, as if he's trying to convince himself. Mrs. Tran clutches her husband's hand under the table, her eyes alight with hope. All right, my boy. I'll find you a good girl, someone to share sunny days and stormy ones alike. Her voice is warm, as if embracing her son's future. Min Kang nods, his gaze drifting to the window where the waves roll endlessly. He wonders if someone out there, among the countless waves, could make his heart stir again, or if this is merely an attempt to mask a wound that may never heal. At a seaside cafe, where salty breezes mingle with the rhythmic crash of waves, Min Kang sits quietly at a corner table, a steaming cup of black coffee in hand. The bitter taste lingers on his tongue, but his thoughts wander to distant memories. This blind date, though his own suggestion, leaves him restless. Is he truly ready to open his heart to a stranger when Lin Dan's shadow still lingers? He glances at his watch, 1 minute to go. His heart beats softly, not with anticipation, but with a vague unease about what lies ahead. As the clock strikes 10, the cafe door swings open, ushering in a cool sea breeze. A young woman steps inside, her eyes scanning the room before settling on Min Kang. She approaches with a gentle smile, as if such meetings are second nature. "Are you Min Kang?" Her voice is soft yet confident, carrying the warmth of morning sunlight on the sea. He looks up, momentarily surprised by her vibrant presence. Standing slightly, he offers a polite smile. "That's me. And you're Huin Nok?" She nods, settling into the chair across from him with ease. "Yes, that's me. I must say, you're much more handsome than I imagined. I bet you have plenty of girls chasing after you, don't you?" Her candid compliment, paired with her sincere eyes, breaks the ice effortlessly. Min Kang chuckles, charmed by her directness. Huin Nok's first impression is striking, forthright, unpretentious, and punctual, a refreshing change from the stories he's heard of others who keep people waiting. "Thank you. You're quite beautiful yourself, your natural charm puts me at ease," he replies sincerely, noting her simple yet captivating presence. Huin Nok wears a soft blue dress that blends with the sea beyond, her hair tied in a high ponytail, a few strands dancing in the breeze. Her minimal makeup, just a touch of pink lipstick, enhances her radiant glow under the dappled sunlight filtering through the palm fronds. "What would you like to drink?" Min Kang slides the menu toward her, his gesture polite yet warm, a habit honed from years of guiding tourists. Huin Nok flips through the menu, then looks up with a smile. "I'll have a fruit juice, orange and strawberry, something fresh for this seaside morning." As they wait for her drink, Min Kang breaks the silence. "What do you do? I heard you work in an office." Her eyes light up with quiet pride. "I'm a graphic designer at a small advertising agency here. It's fun, playing with colors and shapes, telling stories through images." "And you? I heard you work in tourism, always traveling to new places." He nods, a smile flickering as he recalls his journeys. "Yes, I organize coastal tours, showing visitors white sand beaches and quiet fishing villages. It helps me escape sometimes, but it can feel lonely out there on the open sea." Their drinks arrive, the fresh scent of fruit juice mingling with coffee and sea air. The conversation shifts to the purpose of their meeting, a blind date arranged by their mothers. "So, Min Kang, what do you think of me? Am I to your liking?" Huin Nok asks abruptly, her tone bold yet tinged with nervousness, as if bracing for another disappointment. Caught off guard, Min Kang pauses, his coffee cup hovering midair. Her directness disarms him, but he finds it refreshing. "You're very straightforward, and I like that. Honestly, you seem like my type. But why ask so boldly? There's a story there, isn't there?" Relieved by his response, Huin Nok smiles shyly. "I'm just tired of endless blind dates. I'm my mom's only daughter, 26, and I've never brought anyone home. She's worried I'll end up alone, so she keeps setting me up, sometimes 3 times a week. Every time I say no, she mentions her heart condition, and I feel so guilty. I just want this to be the last one, to find someone who understands me." Min Kang nods, feeling a kinship with her plight. "I get it. My mom's been on my case too, but I've been hesitant because of old wounds. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should try something to make this work for both of us." Her eyes brighten with hope. Taking a deep breath, she proposes, "How about we try being married for 6 months? Just to see if we can feel something real. If it doesn't work, we part as friends, no strings attached. It's fair, and it'll keep our parents happy. What do you think?" Min Kang considers her bold idea. 6 months, a trial, not a lifetime. He smiles, nodding firmly. "Deal. Let's do it and see where it takes us." Their eyes meet, smiles blooming like waves cresting on the shore. The sea breeze carries the promise of a new beginning. Their story begins here, amid endless waves and whispering winds. The coastal town buzzes with life, the air filled with the scent of wedding flowers and the gentle murmur of waves. Back at the familiar cafe, Min Kang and Huynh Ngoc sit across from each other, each carrying their own hopes and hesitations. For Min Kang, still haunted by old memories, this arrangement is a temporary reprieve from family pressure. For Huynh Ngoc, bold yet yearning for something real, it's a chance to find peace, and perhaps something more. Though a temporary fix, the 6-month marriage feels like a practical solution. It offers a respite from their family's expectations, giving them space to breathe. Min Kang feels a weight lift, though his heart still clings to the past. He knows he must move forward, even if the steps feel uncertain. We should set some clear terms to make this smooth, Huynh Ngoc says, her tone serious yet cautious, as if guarding herself from unforeseen complications. Min Kang leans in, intrigued. What kind of terms? I'm all ears. She meets his gaze, resolute. We'll act like a real couple in front of our parents, affectionate, caring, so no one suspects. But in private, we're not truly married. Separate rooms, because I'm worried you might have ulterior motives. Her voice softens, cheeks flushing at her own candor. Min Kang bursts into laughter, the sound echoing lightly in the quiet cafe. Her mix of honesty and humor lightens the moment. Fair enough. I agree. We'll be partners in this family storm, like friends weathering it together. He extends his hand, sealing their pact with a handshake that feels both formal and heartfelt. As the waves continue their eternal dance, Min Kang and Huynh Ngoc embark on their unconventional journey, hoping the next 6 months will bring clarity, connection, or perhaps something neither dares to dream of yet. Huynh Ngoc smiled, taking his hand, the warmth from his palm catching her off guard for a fleeting moment before she brushed the feeling aside. Here's to a happy partnership, she said softly, her voice light as if closing an unexpected chapter. Let's hope these 6 months pass smoothly, and we each find our own path. 2 months swept by like waves endlessly caressing the white sands of the coastal town. During that time, Min Kang and Huynh Ngoc immersed themselves in wedding preparations, from selecting a grand seaside venue with sweeping ocean views to rehearsing affectionate gestures in front of a mirror to keep their act convincing. They strolled along the beach at dusk, sharing everyday stories, her graphic design work, his travel adventures. Gradually, the initial awkwardness gave way to an easy familiarity, though both maintained a careful distance. Then came the big day. The wedding was a spectacle, with white silk ribbons fluttering in the sea breeze, vibrant flowers adorning every corner, and soft music blending with the rhythm of the waves. Huynh Ngoc, radiant in a pristine white gown, her hair cascading softly, stood beside Min Kang, dashing in a black suit, his smile bright yet guarded. Though no true love bound them, the celebration drew heartfelt blessings from friends and family, as if fate had orchestrated a flawless scene. Among the guests were Quang Vinh, his wife Linh Dan, and their little daughter, Lan. They arrived with joyful smiles, Linh Dan's rounded belly signaling their second child, her husband doting on her every step. Quang Vinh's tender whispers and attentive care painted a picture of marital bliss that left onlookers in awe. For Min Kang, the sight was a bittersweet masterpiece, stirring a quiet ache in his heart. What groom feels such sorrow on his wedding day, watching the woman he once loved glow in another's arms? Lost in thought, Min Kang flinched as Huynh Ngoc nudged his shoulder, her whisper laced with concern and a hint of playfulness. What's wrong? You look like you're at a funeral. Regretting marrying me already? He snapped back to the moment, flashing a strained but warm smile. Not at all. Just lost in thought. What do they call it, pre-wedding jitters? We're just playing our parts, right? His tone carried a touch of humor, masking the pain beneath. Huynh Ngoc's laugh rang out like silver bells amid the wedding music. You make it sound like we're madly in love. Come on, let's enjoy today. She gently took his hand, leading him to greet more guests. Then, with a curious glance, she nodded toward Linh Dan. Who's the pregnant lady? She looks so happy. Must be a close friend of yours, right? Her eyes sparkled with curiosity as they scanned the crowd. Min Kang followed her gaze, his heart twinging at the sight of Linh Dan. He kept his voice steady. She's like a sister to me. Want me to introduce you? She's really kind. Huynh Ngoc sensed something off, knowing Min Kang was an only child, but chose not to pry. This was a contract marriage, after all, she had no claim to his private past. Hand in hand, Min Kang led her to where Lin Dan sat with Quang Vin and little Lan. Lin Dan, Lan. Good to see you both. He called out, his smile bright but heavy with unspoken sorrow. Lin Dan looked up, her eyes lighting up with warmth. Kang, you finally tied the knot? I'm so happy for you. Her voice brimmed with genuine joy for her old friend. Turning to Huyen Nok, she beamed. Hi, you must be Kang's wife. You're absolutely stunning. I'm so impressed. Huyen Nok blushed, feeling slightly out of place as Lin Dan's family radiated warmth. Oh, I'm only 26. Please don't call me sister, it feels odd, she said with a shy smile, trying to bridge the gap. Lin Dan laughed heartily, patting Huyen Nok's hand. Got it, you're younger than me. I'll call you my little sister then. Congratulations to you and Kang. May you two be happy forever. Her voice was warm, filled with sincerity. She then turned to her daughter. Lan, this is Uncle Kang's wife. Say hello. Little Lan looked up with wide, starry eyes, her voice sweet and polite. Hello, ma'am. I'm Lan. I wish you and Uncle Kang lots of happiness. Her innocence drew smiles from everyone around. Huyen Nok bent down, brushing Lan's hair gently, a warmth spreading in her chest. Thank you, Lan. You're so sweet. I hope we'll see you often. Her tender words added a spark of joy to the festive air. Min Kang watched, torn between heartache and a flicker of hope. Perhaps, amid the coastal waves, this pretend marriage might hold surprises yet. As the gentle sunset cast golden rays through the venue's windows, the day marked Huyen Nok and Min Kang's official union, celebrated under admiring gazes. Yet behind the radiant smiles and heartfelt toasts, both carried private musings they couldn't share. Huyen Nok stood quietly by a window, gazing at the small garden outside the reception hall. Vibrant roses swayed in the evening breeze, whispering tales of past loves. She recalled the heartfelt words of Lan An, a dear friend she admired. My daughter's so lovable, Nok. She reminds me of myself when I was young, full of life and innocence. Huyen Nok smiled, her eyes gleaming. Lan An's daughter, Lin, was indeed a little angel, with sparkling eyes and a smile that could melt hearts. You're right, Huyen Nok replied softly. Lin's so sweet. Seeing her makes me dream of a happy little family like yours. Lan An's smile radiated simple, profound joy. Placing a hand on Huyen Nok's shoulder, she said, I wish you and Min Kang endless happiness, always together like today. You two look perfect together, it warms my heart. Huyen Nok bowed her head, cheeks flushing at the sincere blessing. Thank you, sister. Your words mean so much. I just hope things turn out as beautifully as everyone hopes. A quiet unease stirred within her. Though praised as a perfect couple, their bond was a calculated arrangement. 6 months, a fleeting window for two strangers to connect. Could her heart truly open to Min Kang, a man whose charm hid a mysterious soul? Would he ever let her in, or see her only as part of a temporary deal? The thought of falling for him alone, while he remained distant, sent a pang through her heart. Nearby, Lan An winced, her hand resting on her rounded belly. Her husband, Tuan Kiet, noticed instantly, rushing to her side with a mix of concern and affection. You're pregnant, love, be careful. You're worrying me to death. Lan An laughed, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Oh, come on, it's not like I'm giving birth tomorrow. 2 more months, relax. Tuan Kiet shook his head, a warm smile breaking through. He gently pinched her nose, his voice soft but indulgent. Not yet, but don't get cocky. I just want you and our baby safe. Lan An pouted playfully, rubbing her nose. Ouch, you're bullying me again. No love for me at all. Their tender exchange left Huyen Nok and Min Kang momentarily speechless, each lost in their own thoughts. Huyen Nok envied Lan An's perfect family, unaware of the tears and trials that had forged her friend's happiness. Min Kang, meanwhile, watched Lan An, his heart wrestling with memories of a love he once chased. Seeing her radiant beside her husband and unborn child, he knew he should be happy for her. Yet a nagging question lingered, had he truly let her go? The ache in his chest offered no clear answer. Night fell, the silver moonlight slipping through the window, casting a soft yet chilly glow over the honeymoon suite. After a long day of wedding rituals, Huyen Nok and Min Kang finally found a moment to rest. Huyen Nok emerged from the bathroom, the cool water having washed away layers of makeup and fatigue. Dressed in modest long-sleeved pajamas, elegant yet reserved, she maintained an invisible barrier between them. Min Kang, shedding his suit for comfortable sportswear, sat on the sofa, hands clasped, his gaze distant. Sweat still lingered on his brow from the day's chaos. Glancing at Huyn Nok, he said, "Done showering?" "My turn. Today was exhausting." She nodded, her voice soft but tinged with shyness. "Yeah, go ahead. I'll sit here for a bit." As Min Kang disappeared into the bathroom, Huyn Nok sat on the bed's edge, her mind a whirlwind. Unlike most newlyweds, there was no eager anticipation for a romantic night. Their marriage, born of practicality, held no room for passion. Instead, she pulled out a stack of wedding envelopes, counting the money inside, a distraction from her unease. Counting money to avoid awkwardness, she murmured, a faint smile masking the melancholy in her eyes. When Min Kang returned, hair damp and the scent of soap lingering, he found Huyn Nok meticulously arranging the envelopes. He chuckled, teasing, "The new bride's already hard at work? Enjoying the wedding cash?" Startled, she looked up, flustered. "Well, I figured it'd keep things less awkward. Sit down, help me count, it'll go faster." He joined her, keeping a polite distance. His gaze softened. "You must be tired today. Thanks for making everything go so smoothly." Surprised by his kindness, she smiled. "You too. Today, it's a special day, isn't it?" Min Kang nodded, his eyes drifting to the moonlit window. In that moment, they both felt it. The 6 months ahead would be challenging, but perhaps, deep within, a tiny spark of hope was quietly taking root. Chapter 2, The First Night. The riverside apartment glowed under warm golden lights. Beyond the glass, the river shimmered with starlight, the night breeze slipping through the curtains like a gentle lullaby. Min Kang emerged from the bathroom, droplets clinging to his dark hair, the faint scent of body wash lingering. He paused, catching sight of Huyn Nok perched cross-legged on the bed, her eyes sparkling as she counted crisp bills with a radiant smile, as if she'd struck gold. The sight reminded him of her name, Huyn Nok, a name evoking purity and elegance, chosen by parents who must have cherished such qualities. Yet here was his new bride, more captivated by numbers than wedding gowns or roses. The wedding money was substantial, and Huyn Nok was clearly savoring the task. "Finished counting yet?" Min Kang asked, his voice tinged with fatigue and mild exasperation. The amount didn't matter to him, he just wanted to rest. Without looking up, Huyn Nok held up a stack of fresh 500,000 dong notes, her lips curving mischievously. "Look, we're almost at 100 million. He chuckled softly. Much of the money came from his parents' wealthy friends and business associates, overseas Vietnamese with thriving enterprises. Despite the wedding's simplicity, the envelopes were generous. "Split it 50-50? Huyn Nok tilted her head, her tone teasing yet expectant. "Up to you. Take it all if you want," Min Kang replied casually, as if the money were trivial. In his heart, he thought, "She's already endured so much gossip before coming to me. 100 million is just a number, nothing compared to the dignity and peace she deserves." Huyn Nok's eyes sparkled, and she didn't hold back. "All right, it's all mine then." With a playful grin, she leaned down and planted a loud kiss on the stack of bills, heedless of the germs. Min Kang shook his head, chuckling helplessly. That childlike spark in her, hard to believe she'd been married before. Yet, her innocence lightened the room, easing the weight of the day's exhaustion. "Can we sleep now?" he asked, rubbing his forehead, his voice tinged with a plea. "I'm dead tired." Being a groom was no easy feat, he realized. Just toasting with every table had nearly toppled his modest drinking capacity. Standing steady in front of her now felt like a small miracle. Huyn Nok blinked, her brow furrowing slightly, a hint of shyness creeping in as she considered sharing a bed. "Sleep, where?" "Hand me a pillow," Min Kang said matter-of-factly. "I'll take the sofa, you take the bed." She passed him a pillow without hesitation. He grabbed it, heading to the long sofa by the window, settling in as he called out, "Turn off the light when you're ready to sleep." Within minutes, his steady breathing blended with the quiet room. Huyn Nok sat still, watching him. The soft glow of the lamp bathed his sleeping face, casting a serene, distant air over him. Her gaze drifted to the bed, draped in vibrant red sheets, a symbol of marital bliss, meticulously chosen by his mother. If Mrs. Tran knew they weren't sharing it, she'd be heartbroken. Huyn Nok sighed softly. Their 6-month contract was clear. When it ended, they'd part ways. If they played the part of a real couple now, letting go might become impossible. She slipped under the covers, pulling them to her chest. Outside, the rhythmic crash of waves sang a lullaby. In the darkness, she whispered to herself, 6 months, just 6 months, knock. Yet, deep in her heart, an unnamed feeling stirred, elusive and undefined. Chapter 3, Undercurrents Behind Smiles. By day, to the world's eyes, Min Kang and Huyen Ngoc were the picture of a blissful newlywed couple. They shopped at the market together, laughed with neighbors, and sometimes strolled arm in arm through the rose-filled garden behind the villa. But at night, the facade dissolved. He claimed the living room sofa, she the sprawling bed, an unspoken boundary separating them. Huyen Ngoc had thought this arrangement would carry them smoothly through their 6-month contract. She'd play the dutiful wife, keep things calm, and leave as if nothing had begun. But life rarely bends to such plans. Barely 2 weeks after the wedding, on a misty Dalat morning, Mrs. Tran, Min Kang's mother, stepped into their room. She'd only meant to check if the young couple's space needed tidying. Newlyweds, she knew, could be gloriously messy, sleeping late and rushing off to work. But as she crossed the threshold, her eyes froze. On the sofa by the window sat a neatly folded cream-colored pillow, the very one she'd chosen for their wedding night. Its twin remained untouched on the bed. In an instant, the truth was clear. She stood motionless, lips pressed tight, her body trembling with a mix of anger and disappointment. How could her son be so irresponsible? To marry and sleep apart, disregarding the honor of a woman who'd entrusted her future to him? Are they planning to live like this forever? She fumed silently. She knew their marriage wasn't born of love, but she believed a union, once begun, demanded effort. Love could bloom from small gestures, as the saying went, near kindling, even straw catches fire. Even if passion faded, duty could hold a couple together. Taking a deep breath, she chose silence over confrontation. Her years of wisdom taught her that sometimes, quiet was the sharpest weapon. She'd pretend ignorance, biding her time for the right moment. In her heart, she vowed, Huyen Ngoc will be my only daughter-in-law. That evening, as the couple returned home, they were greeted by a lavish spread: steamed sturgeon with lemongrass, braised chicken with mushrooms, wild herb salad, and Min Kang's favorite pumpkin soup. The kitchen's aromas stirred their hunger. Mom cooked all this. Is today a special occasion? Huyen Ngoc asked with a light smile, pulling out a chair. Mrs. Tran only smiled, serving her daughter-in-law without a word. The meal began warmly, but moments later, a question from Mrs. Tran nearly made them drop their chopsticks. Huyen Ngoc, any signs yet? The implication was unmistakable. Min Kang and Huyen Ngoc exchanged hesitant glances. She took a deep breath, forcing a smile. Not yet, Mom. But, we're trying. Kang's been working hard day and night, but no results so far. Min Kang coughed, burying his face in his bowl to dodge his mother's gaze. Mrs. Tran watched them like an audience at a play. Had she not seen their room that morning, she might have believed their act. Instead of exposing them, she nodded calmly, her voice deceptively light. Maybe you two should see a doctor. Months of knowing each other, 2 weeks married, and nothing? I'm starting to wonder if Kang has a problem. The table fell silent. Min Kang looked up, frowning. Mom, why would you say that? Unfazed, Mrs. Tran added fish to his plate. I'm just worried. A healthy man wouldn't sleep apart from his wife, would he? Her words, soft as velvet but sharp as a blade, pierced their fragile pretense. Huyen Ngoc stared at her soup, heart sinking with a premonition. Their 6-month peace might not last. Chapter 4, Sea Breeze and Unspoken Stories. The salty breeze drifted through the open window, carrying the faint scent of white frangipani from the garden. The late afternoon sun bathed the dining room in golden warmth. Min Kang was savoring a spoonful of his mother's seaweed soup when her earlier words hit him again, choking him mid-swallow. Good heavens, who said I have a problem? He protested, setting down his bowl, glancing at Huyen Ngoc across the table. She tilted her head, lips curling into a barely suppressed smirk, her eyes teasing, caught by Mom, huh? His pride flared. A reckless thought flashed through his mind. If Huyen Ngoc were truly my wife, she'd be carrying twins by now. The idea made his lips twitch, but he quickly masked it, keeping his expression neutral. Despite his inexperience in romance, Min Kang was confident he'd make an excellent father. Mrs. Tran, delighted by his flushed embarrassment, pressed on. Who was it that lied about not being ready? Mom, you just said we've only known each other a few months. These things take time, he said, struggling to stay calm as his ears burned. Mrs. Tran leaned forward, eyes glinting. Please, nowadays people get pregnant before the wedding. What's with this take it slow nonsense? Or are you hiding some condition I should know about, so I can start looking for an adopted grandkid? Mom! Min Kang exclaimed, at a loss for a retort. Huin Nok, torn between amusement and pity, wanted to defend him but feared drawing Mrs. Tran's ire. She'd come to see her mother-in-law as a true mother, despite knowing their bond was temporary. She wanted to remain the dutiful daughter-in-law in Mrs. Tran's eyes. Mrs. Tran pushed further, cornering her son. I don't know how your father, such a strong man, raised someone so delicate. Oh, and speaking of which, when your dad and I got married, I was 3 months pregnant after just 2 months. This time, Mr. Tran choked on his tea, shooting his wife a look of shock and exasperation, as if to say, you're airing our dirty laundry? Huin Nok's eyes widened, caught between embarrassment and laughter. The room's tension eased, replaced by warm, familiar waves of connection. Mr. Tran tapped his spoon lightly, half joking. Back then, it was rare in Vietnam. But we grew up in the States, more open-minded. When you love someone, you give everything. Mrs. Tran smiled, her eyes nostalgic. I was young and clueless. 2 months after the wedding, I realized. I'd been pregnant for 3. Huin Nok's heart stirred at the story's simple warmth, despite its awkwardness. Softly, she said, sometimes, surprises make a marriage more exciting. Min Kang glanced at her, surprised. The reserved Huin Nok had spoken up, lightening the mood with ease. Mrs. Tran laughed. See, Kang? Nok's got more sense than you. Min Kang stayed silent, a mix of embarrassment and quiet warmth settling in his chest. Chapter 5, A Plan in the Night. Min Kang's patience, already thin, was fraying. Dinner felt like a chess game he was destined to lose, stay any longer, and his mother's jabs would strip away his last shred of dignity. Mom, Dad, I'm done. Heading upstairs, he said, turning to Huin Nok with forced calm. Take your time eating. Truthfully, he'd eaten plenty, but his mother's pointed remarks made every bite bitter. Mrs. Tran, still simmering, gave a cold hum, barely glancing at him. But when her gaze shifted to Huin Nok, her voice softened. Ignore him, dear. Eat up. I made all your favorites. Huin Nok smiled, nodding. Thank you, Mom. You and Dad eat more too. Min Kang trudged upstairs, his face heavy with frustration. Halfway up, his mother's teasing voice echoed, Eat up, dear. He's just sulking. Fuel up. You'll need energy to give me grandkids. He nearly tripped, shaking his head in defeat. The night should have ended there, but at 10 o'clock, as Min Kang and Huin Nok prepared for bed, her on the bed, him on the sofa, a rapid knock startled them. In this house, only his parents could be knocking. If they discovered the separate sleeping arrangement, it'd be a disaster. Min Kang reacted swiftly, grabbing his pillow and tossing it onto the bed to feign normalcy. Yawning theatrically, he shuffled to the door. Dad? You're still up? Mr. Tran cut to the chase. That sofa's long and wide enough to sleep on, right? Yeah, it is, Min Kang replied, confused. Good. Help me move it to our room. What? Why? Min Kang blinked. Mr. Tran sighed, exasperated. Your mother's fault. She's been nagging all night. I argued back, and now she's kicked me to the floor. My back's killing me. Min Kang bit back a laugh, his parents, at their age, bickering like newlyweds. All right, I'll help. He whispered to Huin Nok, stay put. We'll be quick. Seeing Mr. Tran, Huin Nok sat up. Dad, let me help. No need, Mr. Tran waved her off. Women don't do heavy lifting. I'm still strong. Min Kang nodded, signaling her to stay. They carried the sofa to his parents' room, where Mrs. Tran lay with her back turned, blanket pulled tight, clearly still upset. Min Kang set the sofa down and slipped out, wary of getting dragged into their spat. Once he left, Mr. Tran climbed into bed, chuckling. Phase 1 of the plan worked. Mrs. Tran turned, eyes gleaming. I don't believe Kang would dare sleep apart in this freezing weather without that sofa. They exchanged a conspiratorial grin, architects of a subtle trap. In the living room, Min Kang remained blissfully unaware of the scheme his parents had set in motion. The warm glow of their bedroom lamp illuminated the lines on their weathered faces. What if he insists on sleeping separately? Mr. Tran asked, brow furrowed. Mrs. Tran smiled confidently. Trust me. If Kang's stubborn, he'll end up on the cold floor. With the chilly wind and no warm blanket, he won't last long. And Huyn Noc's too kind to let her husband shiver all night. Give it a few days, I'll be holding my grandchild soon. Mr. Tran grinned mischievously. How about we give Kang a sibling instead? More laughter in the house? Mrs. Tran laughed, swatting him. You old flirt. Acting all proper in front of the kids, but joking like a teenager with me. I'm 52, out of eggs, remember? He pulled her close, his voice tender. If only I'd let you have more kids back then. We'd have a house full of grandkids, not scheming to fix our son's marriage. She pouted, nudging him. Who was it that said one kid was enough? Mr. Tran feigned innocence, but they both knew why. Her difficult first birth had nearly cost her life, and Min Kang's too. He'd knelt outside the delivery room, praying desperately. A rare drug saved her, and he swore never to risk losing her again. Years later, when she wanted another child, he refused, even threatening abstinence. Her love for him went out. She touched his hand, her voice soft. It's late. Sleep. Good night, he murmured, holding her close. They drifted off, smiling, dreaming of a child calling, Grandpa, Grandma. As Mrs. Tran predicted, their plan bore fruit. Back in their room, Huyn Noc looked at Min Kang. What happened? He gave a wry smile. Mom and Dad fought. Dad took the sofa to sleep separately. Where will you sleep? She asked, concern in her eyes. He shrugged, feigning nonchalance. I'll manage on the floor. Her heart twinged at the thought of him on the cold tiles. Softly, she said, the floor's freezing. Come sleep on the bed. Min Kang froze, a flicker of surprise and warmth in his eyes. His mother's plan was quietly taking hold. The second-floor bedroom glowed under a seashell-shaped lamp. Outside, the sea breeze whispered through the window, carrying salt and a biting chill. Huyn Noc pulled the blanket to her chin, glancing at Min Kang, who hesitated. But, no funny business, or you're off the bed, she said, her smile easing the tension, though her voice held a wary edge. He exhaled, lips twitching with amusement or resignation. In this cold, sleeping on the icy floor was a survival test he'd rather avoid. After a pause, he slipped under the covers on the opposite side. Don't worry. I promise. I won't do anything. Huyn Noc turned toward the wall, reassuring herself. From now on, we'll coexist peacefully, on the same bed. In the dead of night, the ocean's murmur persisted, but the room grew warm with their shared presence. Min Kang couldn't sleep deeply, whether from the cold or the steady rhythm of her breathing nearby. Her faint scent kept pulling his focus. Suddenly, a slender arm wrapped around him from behind. Startled, he opened his eyes. Huyn Noc, lost in sleep, clung to him, seeking warmth. Her soft frame pressed against his back, igniting a flush of heat despite the chill. Good grief, he muttered, gritting his teeth. The floor might have been easier. Oblivious, Huyn Noc murmured in her sleep, so warm, so cozy. Each warmth stoked the fire in him. Her grip tightened, leaving no room to breathe. He wanted to push her away but feared waking her. Resigned, he closed his eyes, focusing on the most innocent thoughts to stay calm. Watching her sleep, he thought of Lin Dan, his first love. But Huyn Noc was different, not a gentle stream, but a bold sea breeze, fearless and unique. He'd never mistaken her for anyone else. She was Huyn Noc, singular and striking. A question stirred. When this contract ends, could I build a real home with her? Whether it was the thought or her warmth, his arms slowly encircled her. Surprisingly, it felt right. Near dawn, as the sky turned pale gray, Huyn Noc stirred, trying to slip free. Instinctively, Min Kang tightened his hold. Kang. I can't breathe, she gasped, voice faint. He blinked awake, releasing her. She sat up, hair disheveled, eyes a mix of embarrassment and reproach. Didn't you promise not to do anything? Rubbing his sleepy eyes, he retorted, who did what? You were the one clinging so tight I nearly fell off the bed. If I had, I'd be a popsicle by now. Huyn Noc opened her mouth to argue but saw his half-amused, half-exhausted look. Biting her lip, she pulled the blanket over her head, her heart racing from shame or something new. Recalling his words, she realized he was right. She'd claimed most of the bed, leaving him teetering on the edge. Blushing, she peeked at him, her tone half teasing, half defensive. So what? You're my husband, a little hug's no big deal. He raised an eyebrow, smirking. Then why the fuss? I didn't do anything. His light-hearted reply made her pause. Seeing his tired, red-rimmed eyes, she softened. I'm sorry. He sighed, no trace of blame. It's morning. Go help Mom with breakfast. I'll catch a bit more sleep. Okay. I'll wake you for work. Huynh-Nak slipped out of bed, freshened up, and headed to the kitchen. The warmth of sizzling onions and braised meat dispelled the chilly Dalat morning. She joined Mrs. Tran, helping with small tasks, washing vegetables, fetching spices, setting plates, admitting early on she wasn't much of a cook. She'd braced for disapproval, but Mrs. Tran had only smiled kindly. Cooking comes with time, dear. I'm still here to take care of you both. Just love each other, and I'm happy. That memory nearly brought tears to Huynh-Nak's eyes. A mother-in-law so understanding was a rare blessing. Mrs. Tran's voice broke her thoughts. Is Kang still sleeping? Yes, Mom, Huynh-Nak replied, then added eagerly, these veggies need washing, right? I'll do it. Go ahead, Mrs. Tran said, watching her with affection. She knew Huynh-Nak, an only child from a well-off family, had been pampered. Not knowing how to cook was no surprise. Mrs. Tran herself had learned only after marriage, driven to nurture her family. Huynh-Nak hesitated, then asked, Mom, did you and Dad fight last night? Mrs. Tran chuckled, caught off guard. Yes, he gets on my nerves sometimes. Huynh-Nak grinned playfully. Have you made up? Of course, Mrs. Tran said, eyes shining. Husbands and wives fight at the head of the bed, make up at the foot. Huynh-Nak fell silent, admiring their enduring love despite years of trials. A spark of hope flickered. Perhaps one day, she and Min Kang could share something as steadfast and warm. The long day, brimming with work and pressures both big and small, finally drew to a close. Outside the glass window, the night sky draped the world in a serene black, punctuated only by the faint golden glow of streetlights, like honey droplets suspended in the void. The hum of city traffic had faded, replaced by the familiar sounds of their quiet neighborhood, the gentle rustle of wind through tree canopies, the distant meow of a stray cat in the alley. After a warm dinner with his parents, Huynh-Nak and Min Kang politely excused themselves to retreat to their private haven upstairs. Min Kang showered first, the faint minty scent of his body wash drifting through the bathroom door, mingling with the room's cozy warmth and lulling Huynh-Nak into a rare moment of calm. Dressed in a simple t-shirt, he settled at the desk, diving into unfinished work from the day. Huynh-Nak, meanwhile, sat with her laptop, its glow illuminating her delicate features as she meticulously crafted tour plans for clients. Her role in travel service management didn't demand constant travel, but it required precision in every detail. She was scheduling a family group's itinerary, balancing comfort and cost with care. As their tasks wound down, the clock neared midnight. The room grew hushed, save for the soft tick of the clock and Min Kang's occasional typing. Huynh-Nak broke the silence with a gentle smile. Kang, come to bed. I promise I won't hog the space this time. He raised an eyebrow, lips twitching as if hiding a grin. Really? You said that last time. This time I mean it, she insisted, raising her hand as if swearing an oath, her eyes sparkling. They lay down, a slight awkwardness lingering in the space between them. Time passed in silence, and it seemed they'd both drifted off. Then, Huynh-Nak's clear voice pierced the darkness. Min Kang, are you asleep? Not yet, he replied, his voice low and warm. The night felt colder than usual, and despite pulling the blanket to her shoulders, Huynh-Nak shivered. Her mind flickered to last night's dream, when she'd unconsciously clung to him, his warmth soothing her in ways she hadn't expected. Hesitating, she whispered, Can I hug you a little? It's so cold. Min Kang froze, a rush of warmth coursing through him, torn between keeping distance and pulling her close. Before he could respond, she added with a playful whine, You're my husband, just a quick hug, okay? Without waiting for an answer, she scooted closer, wrapping her arms around him. Her hair brushed his chin, the sweet scent of her shampoo blending with his minty freshness as she inhaled deeply. His breathing grew heavier, but he only tightened his hold, murmuring, Stay still. Don't move. She didn't understand the husky edge to his voice but nodded obediently. Minutes later, her breathing steadied, she was asleep, lips slightly parted like a child in a peaceful dream. Min Kang tilted his head, studying her sleeping face. In the dim light, his gaze softened. Unable to resist, he pressed a feather-like kiss to her forehead. Maybe. I could spend a lifetime losing sleep just to hold you like this, he thought. They say actions, repeated enough, become habits. For Huin Nok, that habit was falling asleep in Min Kang's arms each night. Over 2 months, winter's chill had faded, and staying warm was no longer an excuse. Yet without his embrace, sleep eluded her. And Min Kang, letting her do as she pleased, found her reliance on him deepening. Remarkably, despite sharing a bed, they never crossed the line. Sometimes, when she slept deeply, he'd steal a soft kiss on her lips, careful not to wake her. Those fleeting moments, small as they seemed, wove their hearts closer together. That morning, sunlight slipped through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the breakfast table. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the scent of newly baked bread, creating a comforting, familiar atmosphere. But amidst the warmth, Mrs. Tran recalled something urgent, speaking up to ensure she wouldn't forget amid the day's bustle. Huin Nok, Min Kang, don't come straight home after work today. Head to Lin Dan's house to help out, all right? Min Kang, slicing bread leisurely, looked up, surprised. What's going on there? Huin Nok paused mid-spoonful, her eyes lighting up as realization hit. Oh? I think it's the 1-month celebration for Lin Dan's baby boy. Mrs. Tran shot her son a mock glare, her tone a blend of reproach and affection. See? Nok remembers, and you're so clueless. That poor boy, your future nephew, would be heartbroken if his uncle forgot him. Mrs. Tran cherished Lin Dan like a daughter, a bond deepened by their years together in the States. Once, she'd hoped Lin Dan would be her daughter-in-law. Though that dream hadn't come true, she still saw her as family, doting on her children. Min Kang sipped his coffee, replying casually, "Got it, Mom. Don't worry." His offhand tone drew a sigh from Mrs. Tran. Mr. Tran, who'd been quietly reading the newspaper, looked up. "What's with the sighing so early?" Mrs. Tran set down her cup, her voice tinged with melancholy. "Look at Lin Dan, married less than a year and already with a child, now a month old. And our son." Mr. Tran caught her meaning and cut in gently, "Children come when fate allows. You can't force it. Let's not spoil breakfast." He nodded at the couple. "Eat up and get to work." His words weighed on Huin Nok. Since joining the family, Mrs. Tran had treated her with genuine care, never harsh. Knowing how deeply her mother-in-law longed for a grandchild, Huin Nok felt a pang of guilt, as if she owed her something. She set down her spoon, voice soft. "Mom. I'm sorry." Mrs. Tran shook her head, her eyes kind. "No need to apologize, dear. I was just talking. When the time's right, you'll have a child." "I understand," Huin Nok murmured. On the drive to work, Min Kang focused on the road while Huin Nok sat quietly, her thoughts spiraling. If their marriage weren't a contract, perhaps Mrs. Tran would already be holding a grandchild. A mix of unease and regret settled in her chest. Evening at Lin Dan's house. Lin Dan's cozy home buzzed with more life than usual. The aroma of delicious food filled the air, mingling with the cheerful chatter of close family. The 1-month celebration was intimate, attended only by Lin Dan's family and Min Kang's. Lin Dan hurried to the door at the sound of the bell. "Min Kang, Huin Nok. You're here. Come in, everyone's waiting." Huin Nok smiled, handing her a neatly wrapped gift of soft baby clothes she'd carefully chosen. "Just a little something for the baby. May he grow strong and healthy." Lin Dan beamed, accepting it. "You didn't have to, but thank you. I'm just happy you're here." Huin Nok peeked at the cradle nearby, her eyes brightening. "Can I hold him? He's so adorable." Cradling the baby, she recalled his newborn days, small as a pillow. Now, his smooth skin and chubby cheeks warmed her heart as his tiny breaths brushed her hand. Min Kang watched quietly, noting her tenderness. In that moment, an unfamiliar feeling stirred within him. Lin Dan placed the sleeping boy in Huin Nok's arms, his milky scent softening her heart. His tiny hand clutched her finger, seeking comfort in an unfamiliar world. Noticing Huin Nok's gentle gaze, Lin Dan teased, "You love kids so much, why not have one to liven up your home?" Huinnak froze, the innocent question striking a hidden chord. She smiled faintly, dodging. Kang and we're trying. Treating Huinnak like a sister, Lin Dan spoke freely. Maybe you're young, planning to wait a few years? Huinnak shook her head, her voice soft with a trace of sadness. No, Mom really wants a grandchild. How could I delay? Anne. I love kids too. She leaned down, kissing the baby's plump cheek, the warmth and innocence seeping into her soul. Lin Dan grinned, joking, want to borrow in for a night? Maybe it'll inspire some good news in a few months. Quang Vinh, emerging from the kitchen, overheard and laughed. Take him for 2 nights. This little guy's always stealing his mom from me, let him crash with you. Laughter filled the room, though Baby An just blinked, bewildered by the adults' merriment. After the intimate celebration, Mr. and Mrs. Tran left early. Min Kang meant to follow, but seeing Huinnak reluctant to part with An, he stayed. It wasn't until nearly 10 that she handed the baby back, eyes lingering fondly. Back home, after showering, it was nearly 11. Work set aside, they climbed into bed. Can I turn on the AC? I'm a bit warm, Min Kang said, his voice slightly hoarse from the evening's beers. I'm hot too, Huinnak replied, yet stayed nestled in his arms. The room glowed under the warm bedside lamp. Despite the heat, they held each other, breaths entwined. Asleep yet? He whispered. Not yet, she answered, eyes open, staring into the dimness. Can't sleep either. Wanna talk? His voice, deepened by alcohol, was warm yet alert. About what? She tried to sound calm, but her mind churned. The image of An's sweet face merged with Mrs. Tran's wistful expression from breakfast, stirring a quiet ache. Suddenly, she turned to him. Kang, it's been 3 months since we married, hasn't it? Yeah, time flies, he said simply. 3 months, half their contract gone. 3 more, and she'd be free. Yet a strange regret tugged at her heart. Gathering her courage, she asked, Do you feel anything for me yet? Min Kang fell silent. The pause tightened her chest. She pressed, voice trembling, Do you want to end the contract early? The question scared her as it left her lips. If this continued, she feared she'd truly fall for him. He remained quiet. Answer me, Kang. Her voice rose, desperate. Instead of words, his lips claimed hers in a sudden, deep kiss, a fierce, wordless reply. His warmth flooded her, dissolving her doubts, leaving only her racing heartbeat and a new fear, that she could never let this man go. Chapter 6, The First Mark. The crescent moon hung in a star-strewn sky, its faint light slipping through the window, tracing soft lines across the wooden floor. Huinnak stood by the door, her heart swirling with indescribable emotions. She knew stepping through this threshold would change everything forever. Yet her heart didn't waver, it pulsed with a fervent rhythm, as if it had long awaited this moment. Min Kang stood before her, his eyes deep as the midnight sea, brimming with unspoken love. The space between them was a mere breath, yet it felt as if the universe held its breath, waiting. He leaned down, his warm lips brushing hers, a silent promise. The kiss, light as a butterfly's touch, overwhelmed Huinnak. She was lost in a world where only they existed, their heartbeats one. Unable to resist, she wrapped her arms around his neck, pulling him closer, as if to melt into his warmth. Min Kang's voice, low and tender, broke the quiet. But she didn't let him finish. Huinnak kissed him again, her soft lips nibbling his with a sweet reprimand. Leaning close, she whispered, resolute yet soft, You kissed me, so you have to take responsibility. Let's have a child. Min Kang didn't speak. His response was a deep, passionate kiss, his hands tightening around her waist, erasing all distance. A sudden chill swept through the window, making Huinnak shiver. She realized her clothes had vanished, her skin prickling, not from cold, but from Min Kang's searing gaze tracing her curves. He stood bare, his tanned skin gleaming under the moonlight, muscles carved like stone. Her heart raced, she'd never seen him so breathtaking. Will you regret this? He asked, lifting her chin, eyes filled with concern. No. I won't, she replied, her voice soft but firm, offering him what she'd guarded for over 2 decades. A sharp pain tore through her, startling her. She'd heard of this pain but hadn't expected its intensity. Warmth trickled down her thigh, and silent tears fell. Are you okay? Min Kang paused, voice thick with worry. I'm fine. I can handle it, she said, clutching his hand, forcing a smile. The pain burned like fire. She closed her eyes, focusing on his breath, his heartbeat near her ear. Did he feel this pain too, she wondered? After what felt like an eternity, Min Kang eased away, fetching a warm towel to gently clean her. When the lamp flickered on, he saw her tear-streaked face. I'm so sorry, he said, pulling her into his arms, voice heavy with regret. It's okay. Because it's you, I'm willing, she murmured, nestling into his chest, soothed by his steady heartbeat. The moon bore witness to their sacred moment, as two souls gave themselves fully to each other. Outside, the late moonlight hung in a misty sky, casting a faint glow over the room, still scented with pine wood and the lingering lavender candle. Huyen Nok stirred, her shoulders trembling, tears silently falling. Min Kang, still caught in the afterglow, froze when his hand brushed her cold skin. Nok, what's wrong? Are you hurting? She bit her lip, hiding the lingering ache, but her glistening eyes betrayed her. It still hurts, she whispered, voice quivering. He gently helped her sit up, his steady hands tender, as if afraid to cause more pain. Where does it hurt? Should I take you to the hospital? His worry nearly made her laugh. She imagined explaining to a doctor, it hurts because it was my first time. Shaking her head, she smiled to ease his tension. It's just my first time. It's a little painful. Min Kang fell silent, guilt washing over him. He hadn't realized how much pain her first time could bring. I'm sorry. I didn't know, he said, voice low. She touched his hand, whispering, I don't blame you. I'm really okay. He laid her down, pulling the blanket over her. Rest. I'll clean you up. No bath tonight. You might catch a cold. She nodded, her initial shyness giving way to trust. Min Kang hesitated at the sight of faint red traces, then soaked a soft towel in warm water, wiping her gently, each motion an apology. Next time. I'll be more careful. I won't let you hurt like this again, he said, voice thick. She smiled softly. I'm fine, really. After helping her into a fresh nightgown, he lay beside her, wrapping her in his arms, stroking her hair. Still hurting? No, she shook her head, sinking into his warmth. Only when her breathing steadied did he close his eyes, reassured. The next morning, as sunlight filtered through the curtains, Huyen Nok woke, intending to help Mrs. Lu, her mother-in-law, with breakfast. But sitting up, a dull ache made her wince. She nudged Min Kang. Kang, tell Mom I can't help today. I'm a bit tired. He nodded without question and headed downstairs. Moments later, a knock sounded. Huyen Nok opened the door, flustered, to find Mrs. Lu scanning her with concern. Are you all right, dear? Need a doctor? Huyen Nok lowered her eyes. It's probably just my period. I'm okay, Mom. Mrs. Lu nodded, though her eyes lingered with doubt. As the door closed, Huyen Nok leaned against the wall, warmth and embarrassment mingling in her chest. Outside, the clatter of kitchen knives mixed with the aroma of chicken porridge. And somewhere, Min Kang's gaze followed her every step, as if vowing to protect her for the rest of his life. That morning, sunlight filtered through the bedroom curtains, painting soft golden streaks across the walls. Huyen Nok lay curled on the bed, the blanket draped loosely over her shoulders, her eyes half closed but her mind restless. A vague unease crept through her like a thin mist. She feared her mother-in-law, Mrs. Tran, might see her as a frail daughter-in-law, incapable of managing household duties. With a gentle voice, she tried to sound natural. Mom, can I take a break today? I'll help as usual tomorrow. I don't want you to think I'm lazy. Mrs. Tran looked at her, her gaze a blend of concern and maternal warmth. Don't overthink, dear. Rest and recover. I'm only worried you might be unwell, never that you're lazy. Huyen Nok's heart warmed. In over 3 months as a daughter-in-law, she'd never missed a family breakfast. This change must have worried Mrs. Tran deeply. Smiling softly, she said, Thank you, Mom. I'll rest today and be back to help tomorrow. Mrs. Tran nodded, adding, Maybe take the day off work too, to feel better. Huyen Nok murmured agreement and closed the door. Moving slowly back to the bed, she lay down. Just then, Min Kang emerged from the bathroom, droplets clinging to his hair, dressed in a crisp white shirt. He sat beside her, eyes full of concern. Still hurting? Stay home today. I can get you medicine. She shook her head, lips curving faintly. Just a bit tired. Rest will do. He leaned down, kissing her forehead, his warmth easing her. Stay here then. I'll bring breakfast up. Flustered, she protested, I should eat downstairs with everyone, or Mom might misunderstand. He smiled, resolute. Mom genuinely cares for you. She won't think anything of it. Trust me. That morning, Min Kang carried a tray of food to their room, feeding her spoonfuls of porridge with tender care. Before leaving for work, he reminded her repeatedly, if you feel worse, call me. Tell me if you need medicine. She smiled, warmth spreading through her. Their contract had a deadline, but now, she longed for it to last forever. 2 months later, life flowed calmly like an autumn lake. At night, they still held each other tightly. Since that night, Min Kang hadn't touched her again. When desire stirred, he sighed, restraining the fire in his heart. Huin Nok wasn't impatient. The memory of their first time lingered, not from regret, but from its overwhelming intensity, still tinged with a hint of fear. Yet her love for him never wavered, and she knew she'd never regret giving him everything. One late weekend afternoon, as river breezes carried the scent of fresh grass, Min Kang picked her up from work. On the drive home, he noticed her unusual silence, her gaze lost in thought. Wanting to ask but fearing her discomfort, he simply held her hand. At home, as the bedroom door closed, Huin Nok suddenly hugged him from behind. Her voice trembled, tears streaming down. Min Kang. I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. He froze, the world falling silent. Turning to her, he cupped her tear-streaked face, gazing into her eyes. Really? We're going to have a baby? She nodded, tears unstoppable. I'm happy, but so scared. He pulled her close, his voice firm as a vow. No need to fear. I'm here, always. From now on, everything changes. We're a real family now, Huin Nok. She buried her face in his chest, his steady heartbeat giving her courage. Outside, the sunset bathed the room in warm orange, mirroring the moment their hearts found each other anew. The bedroom was so quiet that the ticking wall clock seemed loud. The fading sunset cast a golden-orange glow through the window, warming the space. Huin Nok stood behind Min Kang, her trembling hands clinging to him, as if letting go would make everything slip away. Her voice quivered, barely holding back. Kang, I'm pregnant. As the words left her, hot tears fell onto his back. Min Kang stiffened, then slowly turned to face her. His eyes flickered with surprise and emotion. Her news hit like an unexpected wave, warm and overwhelming. He gently wiped the tears from her eyes, his voice tender yet urgent. Is it true? This is good news. Why are you crying? Sobbing, she managed, it's true. I went to the doctor. 8 weeks. He frowned, a mix of surprise and curiosity. Then why the tears? Don't you want this? Her question quickened his pulse. He dreaded hearing no. But she shook her head, gripping his hand tightly. No. I do. But our contract ends in a month. Before she could finish, his lips silenced her with a kiss, not passionate, but resolute. His voice deepened, each word a seal on her heart. You're mine now. Don't mention that word again. He kissed her tearful eyes, soothing each drop. But she hesitated, a vague fear lingering. Since that night, he hadn't touched her again. She'd wondered if it was just a moment of drunken impulse. Unaware of her tangled thoughts, Min Kang smiled softly. No more crying. Our baby won't like seeing mommy cry. She nodded, tears slowing. He guided her to the bed, his large hand resting lightly on her stomach, as if guarding the tiny life within. When did you go to the doctor? Why didn't you tell me so I could go with you? She recounted everything. Despite eating and sleeping well, she'd felt unusually tired. A colleague teased about pregnancy, which she dismissed at first. But counting back, she realized it had been a while. That morning, she'd quietly gone to the hospital. The result was clear. 8 weeks, healthy and developing. She cried from relief. For 2 months, she'd worked tirelessly. If anything had harmed the baby, she'd never forgive herself. Min Kang listened, his eyes brightening. A thought made him smile. One time, and I'm already a father. He touched her shoulder. Rest now. I'll tell Mom. She'll be thrilled. She smiled. I want to tell her myself. They went downstairs together. Huin Nok felt his hand tighten around hers, lending her strength. Mrs. Tran was brewing tea. Hearing their news, she looked up, eyes narrowing with a knowing smile. Well done. And here I thought you. Her unfinished sentence made Huinnak blush, while Min Kang scratched his head, chuckling awkwardly. The room filled with warmth and joy, marking the start of a new journey. Huinnak touched her stomach, whispering inwardly, "Baby, from today, Mommy's not afraid anymore." The Tran family's living room brimmed with an indescribable feeling, warmth tinged with awkwardness. The news of the baby hadn't settled before Mrs. Tran's playful remark made both Min Kang and Huinnak flush. They bowed their heads, as if dodging prying eyes, but their hearts danced with different rhythms. Huinnak glanced at her husband, sensing his shared embarrassment. A mischievous thought flickered. If Mom knew he succeeded in one try, would she still tease him? Her lips twitched, but shyness swallowed the smile. Mr. Tran, meanwhile, beamed with grandfatherly pride. He glanced at his wife, teasing, "You and your comments, always making people blush. I'm too happy to know what to do." Min Kang sighed, resting a hand on his wife's back. "Mom, I'm taking my wife to rest. She's been tired all day." But Mrs. Tran wasn't letting them off easily. "You go ahead. I haven't checked on my daughter-in-law yet." Her gaze softened as it turned to Huinnak. "How far along are you? Feeling tired? Any cravings I can prepare?" Huinnak smiled, warmed by her care. 8 weeks, Mom. I went to the doctor this morning. The baby's doing great." Mrs. Tran took her hand, patting it gently. "Well done. You're faster than me. I didn't know I was pregnant until 3 months." The mood lightened. Huinnak asked, "Do you want a grandson or granddaughter?" Before Mr. Tran could answer, Mrs. Tran jumped in. "Boy or girl, they're my grandchild. But I'd love a girl. If it's like Kang, quiet and moody, you'll have your hands full." Huinnak blinked. "He's so good. Was he really that tough?" Mrs. Tran sighed, nostalgic. "Good? He kept me up at night with worry. Only today, knowing he'll be a father, do I feel at ease." Min Kang listened silently, aware she was alluding to his past, a past irrelevant compared to his present with Huinnak and their future child. He smiled, shifting the tone. "Mom, let your daughter-in-law rest, or your grandchild won't get any." Mrs. Tran gasped, realizing the time. Mr. Tran nodded. "Take her to rest. She needs it." Despite lingering questions about Mrs. Tran's words, Huinnak bowed politely and followed Min Kang. Before she left, Mrs. Tran called, "Sleep in tomorrow, dear. No need to help with breakfast." Huinnak shook her head, shy. "I'm fine, Mom. You'll spoil me." Mrs. Tran grinned, eyes crescent-shaped. "Pregnant women get pampered. That ends after delivery." "But," Huinnak started, only for Min Kang to interrupt. "Listen to Mom, okay?" She nodded softly. "Okay." The door closed, leaving behind the soft laughter of her in-laws, blending with the warmth of a home awaiting a new member. That night, in the quiet room with only the hum of the ceiling fan and the glow of the bedside lamp, Huinnak nestled in Min Kang's warm embrace. He held her tightly, as if loosening his grip might let her and their unborn child slip away. His large hand occasionally grazed her still flat stomach, a silent whisper to the tiny life within. Life's miracle was profound. From a speck of blood, a being grew, hands, feet, eyes, nose, mouth, until one day, it would cry its first breath into the world. The thought softened Huinnak's heart, flooding her with warmth and joy. She looked up at him, voice soft but eager. "Kang, tomorrow after work, take me to Mom's. I haven't seen her in so long. I miss her." Since learning she'd be a mother, her love for her own mother had deepened. She recalled defying her mother's matchmaking efforts, only for her to smile and say, "You'll understand a parent's heart when you have a child." Now, those words echoed, stinging her eyes. Min Kang smiled, pulling her closer. "Of course. Have you told her the good news?" She paused, hand on his chest. "Not yet. I was too caught up today. But I know she'll be thrilled." He kissed her forehead gently. "Tomorrow after work, we'll have dinner at her place. It's been a while since I had your mom's cooking." She laughed, eyes sparkling. "Deal, love you most." She pecked his lips lightly, expecting a fleeting kiss. But Min Kang deepened it, warm and lingering. She responded sweetly until they parted, breathless. He whispered, "You're pregnant. Don't make me lose control." She giggled. You kissed me first. You tempted me. Fine, my fault. Sleep now, all right? He said, hiding a smile behind his doting gaze. She usually hated his all right, but from him, it was endearing. Maybe this was what they called being smitten, hopelessly so, with her husband, for life. The next morning, after breakfast, Min Kang adjusted his suit jacket and told Mrs. Tran, "Mom, we won't be home for dinner tonight." Mrs. Tran raised an eyebrow. Why? Eating out? Huynh Ngoc's pregnant. Outside food isn't good for her. Huynh Ngoc quickly clarified, "No, Mom. We're visiting my mother. I haven't seen her in a while." Mrs. Tran nodded, smiling warmly. "Good idea. Send my regards to your mom." "Yes, ma'am," Huynh Ngoc replied with a smile. Before leaving, Min Kang teased, "Have a nice dinner, Mom and Dad. I'm off to enjoy my mother-in-law's cooking, it's amazing." He took his wife's hand, leaving Mrs. Tran shaking her head, half amused, half affectionately annoyed. As their figures faded, she turned to Mr. Tran, teasing, "They say daughters are like spilled water when they marry. But your son's the spilled water here." Mr. Tran huffed, lips pursed. "My son, not yours, huh?" She laughed, her heart brimming with warmth. That afternoon, in a quiet riverside two-story house, the aroma of sour fish soup and braised pork with eggs filled the kitchen. Huynh Ngoc always said the house breathed her mother's warmth, from the porch to the kitchen, radiating peace. Mrs. Mai, Huynh Ngoc's mother, bustled at the dining table. Each dish, neatly arranged, was prepared with love, every grain of rice and sprig of herb infused with care. "Lan, grab the new dish set for the table," she called softly, excitement in her voice. "Yes, ma'am. The young couple's probably almost here," Lan replied. Mrs. Mai smiled, her heart stirring with joy. For 10 years since her husband's passing, it had been just her and Huynh Ngoc. They'd leaned on each other through lonely days, sharing meals and stories. When Huynh Ngoc married, it left a vast emptiness in her heart. She'd often wondered if pushing her daughter into matchmaking was too hasty, a way to reassure herself Huynh Ngoc would be cared for. Now, she realized it wasn't about timing but finding the right person. Min Kang, kind and attentive, was the answer to her worries. She dreamed of holding a chubby grandchild, smiling to her late husband in the afterlife, "Darling, we have a grandchild." The creak of the iron gate snapped her from her thoughts. Huynh Ngoc's cheerful voice rang out, "Mommy dearest, your girl's home." Before Mrs. Mai could react, a kiss landed on her cheek. She laughed, nudging her daughter. "You little rascal, don't you see your husband watching?" Huynh Ngoc grinned mischievously, eyes twinkling. "He's my husband, he has to deal with it." Mrs. Mai glanced at Min Kang, shaking her head. "Watch out, Kang. Spoil her too much, and she'll get out of hand." He smiled warmly. "I think it's cute. Go wash up and eat. Dinner's ready," Mrs. Mai said. But Huynh Ngoc hugged her tightly, voice softening. "Wait, Mom. I have important news." Mrs. Mai waved it off casually. "Spill it quick, I'm starving." Huynh Ngoc smiled, rubbing her belly with a playful pout. "Little one, seems Grandma's not excited about you." Mrs. Mai froze, eyes widening. "What did you say?" Min Kang chuckled at his wife's antics, then turned to his mother-in-law. "Mom, your daughter's pregnant, 2 months." Mrs. Mai stood stunned, then her eyes gleamed with joy. "Really? Darling, we're getting a grandchild," she said, glancing upward as if speaking to her late husband. She pulled Huynh Ngoc to a chair. 2 months, and you're just telling me now?" Min Kang explained, "We only found out yesterday, so we rushed to share the news." Nodding, her voice trembled. "Good, so good. Ngoc, you're a mother now. Tone down that fiery spirit. You're living for this little one too." Huynh Ngoc leaned into her mother, smiling. "I know, Mom." Dinner was filled with laughter. Mrs. Mai piled food onto her daughter's plate, while Min Kang gently reminded his wife to eat more greens and less spice. After, they sat on the porch, chatting about neighbors and childhood memories. By 9, the couple prepared to leave. Mrs. Mai reminded them, "The first 3 months are critical. Be careful, no heavy lifting, and eat well. Call me if you're tired, don't hide it." Min Kang nodded firmly. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll take good care of her." Mrs. Mai smiled, seeing them off at the gate. Their figures faded into the night, leaving the house aglow with warmth, like a small flame in winter. The autumn morning passed gently, sunlight casting a soft gold on the porch, a light breeze carrying the earthy scent of fallen leaves. In the cozy room, Huyen Nok sat by the large glass window, her hand resting on her rounded belly, cradling a tiny world within. Time had slowed since she learned she'd be a mother. Now, at over 8 months, a beautiful baby girl awaited her debut. She wasn't supposed to know the gender, hospitals forbade revealing it, but during a 4th-month checkup, with Min Kang holding her hand, the kind-eyed doctor had smiled. This little one, she'll be as beautiful as her mother. Only a girl could be beautiful like her mother, and they'd understood. Leaving the clinic, Huyen Nok beamed the whole way, and Min Kang sped home to share the news. That day, laughter and congratulations filled the living room. Now, with a month left, Huyen Nok felt a quiet fear, of pain, of the unknown. Yet, curiously, she watched birthing videos, holding her breath at the mother's pained expressions, trembling as they endured to keep their babies safe. Some fainted before holding their newborns. Each time, she'd cry, seeking refuge in Min Kang's arms. "I'm so scared. What if I can't handle it?" she sobbed. He held her tightly, soothing, "If you're scared, we can choose a C-section. I just want you and the baby safe." She shook her head, eyes red. "No, I want a natural birth. A C-section might affect her. I can endure the pain." He sighed, love mixed with helplessness. Every time she cried, he suggested a C-section. Every time, she refused. Finally, he smiled, sitting beside her. "All right, no more. Stop crying. Let me rub your belly." She nodded, lying on her side as his large hands moved gently over her swollen stomach. The sensation was soothing, and she smiled, eyes closing. The baby, sensing her father's love, stilled after a few strong kicks. That evening, after showering, Huyen Nok meant to watch videos but found her phone dead since the day before. She picked up Min Kang's, calling softly, "Kang, can I borrow your phone?" Water splashed in the bathroom as he replied, "It's on the table. Use it." Min Kang believed in transparency between spouses, passwords, cards, emails, all shared openly. Huyen Nok smiled, cherishing the trust and unconditional love. The room was still, the ceiling fans hummed, barely easing the weight in Huyen Nok's heart. The warm lamplight softened everything, yet her chest tightened. Pregnancy had heightened her sensitivity. She felt joy easily but also sorrow. Min Kang's care made her feel like the luckiest woman, but a fleeting moment shattered that. She'd only meant to check messages on his phone, but when the screen lit up, a Facebook notification appeared, revisit a memory from a year ago. She should have ignored it. But curiosity and habit led her to tap it, forgetting it was his account, not hers. The screen glowed with words that cut like a cold blade. "It's time to let go of this 5-year unrequited love. Be happy, the girl I loved." #Linden. Her blood ran cold. Lin Dan, her best friend's cousin, married, a mother of 2. Her throat tightened. Questions swirled. Why her? Why did her husband harbor such deep feelings for a married woman? She told herself to stop, knowing more would only hurt. But her heart disobeyed. She scrolled through his private posts, hidden in only me mode, quiet confessions of longing, regret, and helplessness. Before, his profile seemed bare, a coffee cup avatar, a family cover photo. She'd thought he ignored social media. Now, she saw he used it, hiding his deepest truths. Her trembling finger found a post from 8 months ago, just after they became official. "I have a wife now, and I'll be responsible for her forever." The word responsible choked her. She didn't want duty, she craved love, freely given from his heart. The sound of water in the bathroom ceased abruptly. The creak of the door snapped Huyen Nok back to reality. Hastily, she wiped the tears clinging to her eyes, striving to regain composure. Min Kang emerged, dressed in loose pajamas, his hair still damp. He smiled, approaching her with a gentle tone. "You're pregnant, don't play with the phone too much. It's not good for you." She didn't reply, only looked up at him. Her eyes, once sparkling with joy, now shimmered with something deeper, wet with tears, brimming with unspoken questions. A moment of silence passed, then her voice trembled. "Kang, do you still love Lin Dan?" He froze, as if the question struck him unprepared. His eyes flickered briefly, but he quickly steadied himself, lips tightening. "Why would you ask that?" Her grip tightened on the phone, her small hands shaking. Because I read what you wrote, a year ago, and those only me posts. Every word felt like a knife in my heart. He sighed, reaching for her hand, but she pulled back. Knock, it's in the past. The past? She cut in, voice thick with tears. You think I believe that? I thought you just weren't good with words, so I waited, trusted you loved me in your own way. But you loved someone else so deeply you wrote it down, kept it, and never let it go. The air in the room grew heavy, suffocating. Outside, the wind howled through the window, colder than ever. The bedroom glowed faintly under the warm bedside lamp, casting interplaying shadows that seemed to shrink the space. The wind whistled through the window's cracks, mingling with Huynh Ngac's racing heartbeat. Her question sliced through the already taut atmosphere like a razor. You still love Linh Dan, don't you? Minh Khang flinched, his brows knitting as if she'd touched a forbidden nerve. For a moment, his gaze met hers before darting away, seeking refuge from her piercing stare. He exhaled softly, voice low and measured. Huynh Ngac, that's the past. Don't dwell on it. His light words felt like a confession. Her chest tightened, a chill coursing through her. Her doubts, her unanswered questions, all had answers now. She remembered their wedding day, when she'd curiously asked about Linh Dan. He'd smiled, saying, she's like my sister. But his eyes then, tender, distant, tinged with suppressed longing, weren't those of a brother. Now she understood. They belonged to a man who'd loved deeply, unrequited. Worse, she realized her mother-in-law, Mrs. Tran, knew. Perhaps the whole family did. Only she, Minh Khang's wife, had been left in the dark. Her chest throbbed, breathing grew labored. Her old condition resurfaced. The doctor had warned that extreme emotional stress could trigger it. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice quivered. I didn't think it mattered, he replied. Didn't matter? She let out a bitter laugh. I'm your wife, Minh Khang. Why wasn't I allowed to know? He stepped closer, reaching for her trembling shoulders. Knock, don't get upset. She shook her head, backing away, eyes wary. Don't touch me. She retreated until her heel caught the rug's edge. Before he could react, a dull thud echoed. She fell backward, her back striking the cold wooden floor. Clutching her stomach, her voice was a faint gasp. Khang, it hurts. His heart seized. He rushed to her, lifting her, but his eyes caught the blood soaking her nightgown. His body froze. Scooping her up, he draped a robe over her and carried her downstairs, breath ragged. Hold on, Knock. I'm taking you to the hospital. The car sped through the night, engine roaring alongside their frantic heartbeats. Huynh Ngac felt searing pain tear through her. In her haze, she pressed a hand to her stomach, whispering to her unborn child, Baby, don't be scared. Mommy will protect you, my little girl. Her heartbeat weakened, eyelids heavy, breaths faltering. With her last strength, she gripped Minh Khang's hand, her words carving into his soul, If anything happens to my baby, I'll hate you. Darkness swallowed her. The emergency room door stood like an invisible wall, sealing off the tense, antiseptic world within. The hospital corridor was eerily silent, broken only by the hurried footsteps of nurses and the steady beep of distant monitors. Mr. and Mrs. Tran arrived, breathless, faces etched with worry. Moments earlier, they'd heard the car engine roar below. Sensing trouble, Mrs. Tran had rushed upstairs, only to find the bedroom empty, the door ajar, and a stark bloodstain on the bedsheet, a chilling sign for a pregnant woman. Trembling, she'd called Minh Khang, learning Huynh Ngac was in critical care. Without another word, they'd raced to the hospital. Mrs. Tran clutched her hands, praying silently, Please, protect my daughter-in-law and grandchild. At the hospital, she rushed to Minh Khang, voice breaking. How is she? Still in the ER, he replied, face haggard, eyes red. What happened to cause this? She demanded, trembling. Just a misunderstanding, he said, voice heavy. She gripped his arm, voice choked. A misunderstanding? She's pregnant, emotional. You should have been gentle. How could you be so careless? Minh Khang said nothing, lips pressed tight. The image of Huynh Ngac, pale in the ER, haunted him. His pain matched theirs, but everything had spiraled beyond control. Mr. Tran, silent until now, rested a hand on his wife's shoulder. Calm down. She'll be fine. He guided her to a chair. Min Kang stood frozen before the in-surgery sign, eyes unblinking. Time crawled painfully. After nearly 20 minutes, the door opened. The elderly doctor, Huynh Ngac's obstetrician, emerged, voice calm. She's stable. Mother and baby are safe. But be careful, no more stress. You won't always be this lucky. Min Kang exhaled, as if a boulder lifted from his chest. Thank you, doctor, thank you. Go handle the admission papers. She'll be moved to maternity for observation, the doctor added, returning inside. Mr. and Mrs. Tran sighed in relief. Once formalities were done, Huynh Ngac was transferred to the maternity ward. With limited beds, Min Kang urged, Mom, Dad, go home. I'll call when she wakes. Mrs. Tran hesitated but nodded. Before leaving, she whispered, She's safe, but don't let this reach her mother. She has a weak heart. I know, Min Kang replied softly. The next morning, Huynh Ngac woke to a newborn's cry from the next bed. Panic surged. Had her baby been born? Seeing her still rounded belly, she relaxed, whispering, You're still here, baby, thank goodness. Min Kang, gripping her hand, looked exhausted from a sleepless night. She tried to sit up, but pain stopped her. Pulling her hand free, her voice was icy. Go home. I can take care of my baby. He froze. What? This is my child too. She turned away, eyes resolute. No, it's not. When she's born, I'll do a DNA test. If she's yours, I'll give you 100 million. The room seemed to freeze. Outside, morning sunlight streamed in, but it couldn't thaw the ice between them. The hospital room glowed softly under early sunlight, filtering through the window, highlighting the tired lines on Huynh Ngac's face. The faint smell of antiseptic mingled with the steady hum of heart monitors, creating a heavy atmosphere where even breathing felt slow. Min Kang stood by the bed, eyes bloodshot from the sleepless night, his hand hovering over hers, his heart in chaos. Enough with the childish talk. Rest, don't overthink, he said, voice hoarse, half pleading, half soothing. He was exhausted, not just physically but from the crushing helplessness gripping him. Huynh Ngac turned away, her voice quiet but sharp. I'm not joking. I don't have time to play games with you. A heavy silence stretched. Min Kang pressed his lips, swallowing rising anger but finding no complete answer. Then, rest. I'll go. We'll talk when you're calmer, he said slowly, voice breaking, as if afraid his words would worsen things. He left quietly, the door closing, leaving an invisible chasm behind. Minutes later, the door opened again. Mr. and Mrs. Tran, with Huynh Ngac's mother, entered, faces etched with worry, scanning to ensure she and the baby were safe. Mrs. Tran frowned, noticing Min Kang's absence. Where's Kang? I told him to go, Huynh Ngac replied curtly. Her mother frowned, taking her hand. Why? If there's an issue, talk it out. Don't let tension build now. It's nothing, Huynh Ngac said, shaking her head. Turning to Mr. and Mrs. Tran, she spoke slowly. Since you're here, I'd like to stay at Mom's after discharge. I need to be with her to feel stable. Mr. Tran was silent, but Mrs. Tran sighed, eyes soft yet helpless. All right, stay with your mom. Come back before the birth. If Kang did wrong, I apologize for him. Huynh Ngac waved it off. Please, don't. I don't want apologies. Mrs. Tran patted her shoulder. Rest. Don't stress, it'll affect my grandchild. Yes, Huynh Ngac whispered, eyes welling. 2 days from her due date, Mrs. Tran called daily, checking on meals, sleep, and steps. But Min Kang's phone stayed silent, no texts, no calls. Since she'd sent him away, he'd only said, I'll come back later. That later stretched a month. She knew he was truly angry. Any man would be, hearing her words. At night, alone in the hospital room, Huynh Ngac touched her belly. Baby, no one's rubbing mommy's tummy anymore. I can't sleep. She laughed bitterly, tears welling. She missed him desperately but grew angrier. Not just for his hidden love for Lin Dan, but because, even as they neared parenthood, he hadn't opened his heart. Baby, I want you born into a truly happy family, not one bound by duty, she whispered, as if to herself. When her water broke, the pain was unbearable, like dying and reviving repeatedly. They say childbirth feels like breaking 10 ribs, she believed it. Amid the contractions, one thought flashed, If he were here, I'd slap him twice. Heartless man. She gritted her teeth, swallowing tears. Outside the delivery room, the sky was calm, but a storm raged within her. The Tran household, on a chilly late winter morning, felt cloaked in heaviness. Weak sunlight slipped through old wooden shutters, illuminating the cream sofa, faded with time. Min Kang sat there, still in last night's wrinkled clothes, hair disheveled, face gaunt. He hadn't slept, eaten, or changed. Mr. and Mrs. Tran returned from the hospital, spotting their son. They exchanged glances, weary. Love today, they thought, was strange, lovers playing hide-and-seek, testing each other, unsure if it kept the flame alive or extinguished it. Mrs. Tran crossed her arms, voice sharp. Why aren't you with your wife in the hospital? Sitting here like a statue? Is this how I raised you to be a husband and father? Min Kang looked up, eyes tired but defiant. Mom. Huin Nok said the baby isn't mine. Mrs. Tran nearly dropped her bag, shock turning to anger. She sat beside him, her thin but strong hand twisting his ear. Mom. That hurts. I'm not a kid anymore. He groaned. Pain to wake you up. She snapped. You're grown but not wise. Think, mornings you drive her to work, evenings you pick her up. Nights together. When would she have time for anything wrong? Are you falsely accusing her? Her words hit like cold water, clearing his muddled thoughts. She was right, he had no reason to doubt Huin Nok, except for that one moment when she needed him most, and he. Joy surged. He hugged his mother, kissing her cheek like a child. Thanks, Mom. I'm going to the hospital. She grabbed his sleeve. Wait. Explain everything first. After hearing him, she shook her head, voice low. No. She's angry now. Seeing you will only worsen things. Listen to me. Give her space to calm down. And you, figure out what Lin Dan means to you. He raised his hand, eyes firm. I swear, I have no romantic feelings for Lin Dan anymore. I'm not ready to say I love Huin Nok, but she's all I see. Mrs. Tran nodded, a tired smile forming. Good. To win her back, be patient and listen to me. Got it? Yes, ma'am, he said, forcing a light smile to ease the tension. For a month, Min Kang lived in empty days, missing his wife and child to the point of sleeplessness. Each time he reached for his phone to text her, he recalled his mother's advice and stopped. Instead, he visited the hospital, watching her room from afar before leaving quietly. The birth neared. After over 2 hours of agonizing labor, an eternity for Huin Nok, a baby girl's cry pierced the tense air. A perfect 3-kilogram angel, pink-skinned, eyes still closed, was born. Huin Nok glimpsed her, feeling her tiny warmth against her chest, before exhaustion pulled her into a deep sleep as doctors tended her wounds. When she woke, dusk had fallen. Her gaze drifted to the bed's end, and froze. A man held her baby, his expression unreadable, both strange and familiar. He turned, voice hoarse but clear. Give me 100 million. For a month, Huin Nok and Min Kang were like strangers lost in their own story. No texts, no calls, no shared glances. Time dragged, leaving nameless voids in her heart. At night in the hospital, with the wind whispering through the window, she missed his quiet presence, his tender yet stubborn eyes, and the teasing care she once found infuriating. Yet today, after birthing their child through excruciating pain, the first person she saw upon waking was Min Kang, cradling their daughter, his gaze never leaving her tiny face, as if a blink might make her vanish. Joy sparked, only to be snuffed out by his words, give me 100 million. The cold words slashed through her fleeting happiness. She frowned, voice choked. Why should I? She's not yours. He didn't answer immediately. Slowly, carefully, he approached, as if carrying life's greatest treasure. He leaned down, letting her see the baby. Look, does she not look like me? Huin Nok tilted her head, tears blurring her vision as she studied her daughter. After birth, she'd fainted before holding her. Now, the tiny angel stole her breath, flawless white skin, not red like most newborns, a delicate nose rising with each breath, lips pursed in a sweet dream. She laughed through tears. Look at your thick eyebrows, does she have those? Her tiny mouth is adorable. Where's the resemblance? He sighed, exasperated by her logic. Keep it down, she's sleeping. Put her in the crib, she said, voice trembling but proud. Min Kang gently placed the baby down and returned to her side. She tried to sit up for a serious talk, but post-birth pain made her wince, tears spilling. He panicked, supporting her. Where does it hurt? I'll get the doctor. She shook her head, sobbing. No, just help me sit up. Carefully, he lifted her, propping pillows behind her. Better? He asked, voice thick with worry. Hug me, she said simply, her words carrying a month's pent-up longing. He wrapped her in his arms, his warmth enveloping her. But a second later, his shoulder stung. She bit him, hard, without hesitation. He didn't pull away, only held her tighter, stroking her back. I'm sorry. Does it still hurt? She didn't answer. Each bite vented her anger for his absence, each tear on his shoulder was a silent reproach. He endured, letting her release a month's pain and longing. His voice softened, like a vow. Bite through my skin if you want, just don't cry. I'm here now, and I won't leave you alone again. The hospital room was quiet, save for their soft breaths, one carrying months of waiting and worry, the other burdened with guilt and a desire to make amends. Huyen Nok rested in Min Kang's arms, her eyes still red from sobbing. After a while, she released his poor shoulder, marked with red teeth imprints but not bleeding. Why are you so foolish? What if I bit too hard and hurt you? She scolded, voice shaky but laced with care. He chuckled, tracing her spine gently. If I got hurt, you'd be a widow. We both know who'd lose then. She huffed, turning away to hide her slight smile at his jest. Min Kang gazed at her tear-streaked face, brushing damp strands from her cheek. No more crying, okay? Your eyes are swollen. It's your fault I cried, she murmured, each word heavy enough to weigh on his heart. He wiped the last tears from her eyes, his gaze full of remorse. I'm sorry. From now on, I'll tell you everything. You won't worry or hurt alone anymore. She shook her head, voice softer but layered with meaning. I'm not mad because you hid things. I just want us to be real husband and wife, sharing everything, not bound by a contract like before. Her words landed gently but rang like a bell in his heart. He squeezed her hand, feeling her warmth spread through him. Outside the room, 3 figures peeked in. Mrs. Tran smiled at Mrs. Mai. Looks like the kids sorted it out, huh? Mrs. Mai laughed softly. Guess I'll have to get used to missing my grandchild. Mrs. Tran waved it off. Nonsense. Once Huyen Nok's recovered, I'll have her bring the baby to visit often. Thank you, Mrs. Mai replied. The 3 shared knowing, joyful glances, as if a long-held burden had lifted. Inside, Min Kang stroked Huyen Nok's hand, voice tender. Enough talking, you're tired. Rest, or you'll hurt. She lay down obediently but added, when she's hungry, wake me to feed her. I know. Sleep now, he said softly. Exhausted from her ordeal and tears, Huyen Nok drifted off as the soft blanket's warmth enveloped her. Min Kang watched her peaceful face, leaning down to kiss her forehead lightly. You've been through so much, Nok. A week later, Huyen Nok was discharged. Min Kang drove at a snail's pace, cautious not to jostle the mother and baby. The usual 10-minute drive took nearly twice as long. In the car, Huyen Nok remembered something. Kang, we haven't named her yet. He chuckled. Let the grandparents decide. You think my names are bad anyway. That day, both families gathered in the Tran living room for an emergency meeting. After debate, they settled on Ruby as her nickname and Tran Na Phuong for her birth certificate. Cradling her daughter, Huyen Nok touched her tiny nose, smiling softly. Ruby. Mommy's the happiest woman alive. Min Kang chimed in, Ruby's daddy feels the same. She pouted. Whatever, Ruby's daddy. He leaned close, kissing her lips with a playful nip. She pushed him back, whispering, the baby's watching. He grinned. Not scared. If she hadn't just given birth, he wouldn't have let this punishment slide. They both laughed. Their past may not have begun with love, but their present and future held each other, their daughter, and dreams ahead. And that, for them, was more than enough.